Hello there! I'm Clairville Calico, and today we're playing Chaos Child! Yay! Don't play the music! I don't think I can! And let's hope I saved it. It looks like I did. I didn't forget this time. Oh wait, what happened last time? I forgot to write down what happened last time. Okay, so last time, what happened last was that, someone got hurt, and they're in this little hospital here. And now we're checking up on them, seeing how they're doing. We ran as fast as we could over. Cause you know, of course, right? And I'm opening a drink. I'd forgotten to take them off when I came in so quickly. Yanked them off my feet. I quickly yanked them off my feet.
僕
何?
いやその
I could see a bandage through the gaps in her pajamas.
ああ、これ?
Kurisu lifted up her shirt just a little to show me her stomach. It was wrapped in a thick bandage.
13針。大したことない。
Just 13 stitches, nothing much.
お前
Ow. I felt a dull pain in my face. I collapsed to the ground, and then he grabbed me by the shirt and lifted me back up.
ざけんなよお前何してんだよ
ちょっと、川原くん。
探偵ごっこがなんか知らねえけど余計なことしてるからこんなことになんだろうが死んでてもおかしくなかったんだぞ
川原くん。
Are the curtains on the outside of the windows? Oh wait, no, are there bars on the windows? Oh wait, that okay, anyways. He pushed me away violently, my face stung from the punch.
Oh, 青少年。世のビールはこれか
It just might be.
はい他にもいろいろ入っているそうです
すまないな。
ゲンさん、ありがとうございました。川原くん、それ、ゲンさんの家まで運ぶのを手伝ってもらえる？
いやでも
お願い。
わかったよあの
Kawahara glared at me for a minute, then picked up the cardboard box and left.
おう、タク。
ケンさんなんで
まあ、いろいろだな。おう、ジョーちゃん、養生しろよ。
はい。ゲンさんも。 相変わらずひょうひょうとしてる人ね。
Yeah.
どうして。いや、じゃなくて、その、何があったんだ。大丈夫なのか。
Curtis's hand slowly stretched down to the wound on her stomach.
助けられたの。通りかかったゲンさんに刺したやつを取り押さえてくれた。あなたが仕掛けたカメラ、正確には伊藤君？
それは。
まあいいね。とにかくカメラを外している時に妙なやつに声をかけられたの。聖なる結界の場所でどうしたこうした、意味がわからなかったけど、それでいきなり詰め寄られて。
And stabbed her?
まったくどこで売ってるのかしらね、ああいうナイフって。
Probably at the knife store. Wait, is that a thing? Probably be like a kitchen store. Wait. Okay. her voice was far more cheerful than I expected it to be. For some reason, that made everything suddenly seem real. Kurisu had really been stabbed.
それでどうなったんだよ。
殴って逃げたに決まってるでしょ。そこにゲンさんが通りかかって取り押さえて、で110番。タクル？
傷は大丈夫なのか。
脇腹を軽く削ぐような傷だから内臓は無事、大丈夫。
Oh, I misread it as my organs fell out. I was like, that's not fine. My organs filled out. It's okay.
おや、宮代くん。来てたのか。久しぶりだな。
Mm-hmm.
あ
お、玄ちゃんと川原少年はどうした？
帰ってもらったの。
例のお土産は？
渡しました。川原くんに頼んだから。
I see, Dad said as he scratched his head. It really had been a while since I'd seen his face. Not since I'd left the dorm.
佐久間さん、私はこれで。ああ、そうでしたね。この度は、ののがすいませんでした。いいえ、クルス君にはいつもお世話になっているので。じゃあクルス君、お大事にね。
ありがとうございます。ご迷惑おかけしました。
そうだ。宮代君もいるならちょうどいいか。
The teacher turned around and scratched his head the same way my dad
ち
did.
ょっと言いづらいんだけど、それにまあ君たちが完全に悪いってわけでもないんだけど。
What is it?
おそら
Spit
く
it out!
新聞部は活動を自粛してもらうことになると思う。こんなことが起きちゃった以上は。
But what are we gonna do without the newspaper club? Now we can't report on stuff outside of school. I nodded weakly. It didn't seem like there was anything else I could do.
まあね、これもいい教訓だと思って。いや、失礼かな。つまりね。
先生。
はい。
お疲れ様でした。
Kurisu made a motion to shoo him away.
はい。
Where does that door go to? Let's open it up and find out. Just kidding. Kurisu suddenly sighed.
疲れた。
お前、教師からも怖がられてんのか。
違います。あの先生はいつもあんな感じなの。父さん、やっぱり上で休む。
大丈夫か？明日の診察までは寝てていいぞ。
痛み少しだけど引いてきたから。自分のベッドの方が楽。
運ばれた病院で薬何もらったんだ？
ファロとロキ。少し多めに飲んだの。あげませんからね。
バカか。タグ。もし熱が出たらすぐ言えよ。
Kurisu slowly got up. I could see her holding herself with her hands to avoid putting pressure on her stomach.
クルス、ごめん、僕が。
Yeah, well, help her get up.
タケル、
Maybe she wants.
あなた今日泊まっていきなさい。
If her wounds had to, I knew her wounds had to hurt, but she was acting completely normal. That just made me feel even more depressed. I said yes in a voice so small even I could barely hear it. Oh, it's a teddy bear.
大丈夫よ。そんなにじっと見てなくても。
あ、いや。
Kurisu slowly laid down on her bed. I told her I would help her get up to the third floor, but she said it would just make it harder for her to walk. At least I could bring the blanket all the way up to her shoulders.
ありがとう。やっぱり違和感あるわね。看病される側って慣れてないの。あ、ちゃんと冷やしときなさいよ。
Kurisu pointed to my cheek. She must have been talking about where Kawahara hit me.
こんな時まで他人の心配するなよ。
And it was my fault that this had happened.
あなたね、言っておくけど。
Kurisu tried to raise her head up, but her wound must have hurt her because she grimaced and laid back down.
あ
Little
なたの
teddy
せいじゃ
bear.
ないからね。刺されたのはあくまで私の責任。
The bear's ears say no, no. Oh, because that's her name!
僕がカメラなんて仕掛けなければ。
それは確かに褒められたことじゃないけど、でも予想できたことじゃないでしょ。
That was true, but
あ、カメラは返しておく。ユイがその辺に置いてくれてない？
I looked around the room and saw there was a paper bag on the desk. The camera had Ito set up was inside. It was in that paper bag. There was some damage on a corner. It must have been dropped when she was stabbed.
どんなやつだったんだよ、その犯人。
暗くてよく見えなかったけど、2、30歳くらいの男。ごめん、電気消してくれる？仰向けに寝てると眩しい。
ああ。
I turned off the lights. Kurisu sighed sighed to calm herself down.
ゲンさんに取り押さえられて警官が来るまでわめき散らしてた。俺のネットの継承に気づかないお前たちごときがとか、犠牲者の聖なる使いの俺に触れるなとかね。
I suddenly realized that reminded me of something. It was the same with the stuff about the barrier that about a barrier that Kurisu was saying downstairs. Wait, barrier? Yeah. Could he be
あのページの管理人？
詳しくは明日警察の人が来ていくつか聞くことがあるって言ってたから、その時わかるとは思うけど。
It felt like her voice was shaking a little.
クルス。
なんでもない。大丈夫。
It was too dark to see clearly, but I could tell that she had her hand on her face. I finally realized that she was holding back tears. I swore at myself. Of course she was. Damn it! She'd been stabbed in the stomach. Of course she was scared. Neither of us said anything for a while. I couldn't bring myself to say another word. Nothing I said would be right, and it felt like it would hurt her. I couldn't see her face. I didn't know if she was crying, but even if she wasn't crying, she may as well been.
タクル？
I don't know how long I was silent. My eyes had finally gotten used to the dark by the time she
言
whispered.
うとね、ラブレターもらったんですって。今野さん、覚えてる？
I didn't. I tried to remember, but maybe she wasn't expecting an answer.
5年生の時から同じクラスの。一度、ユウトが休んだ時にプリントを持ってきてくれたメガネをかけた子。それをクラスの男の子にからかわれたらしくて、それでユイが。
And then she started to go on in a quiet voice. She told me that Dad had been busy lately and he was being as obnoxious as ever, and that she'd ordered him to stop drinking for a week today, that Yui was still afraid of men, but that she'd made friends with a boy in her class, that Yuto wasn't getting any taller. He said it didn't bother him, but it obviously did. That the air conditioner in the living room wasn't working well, and she and Yui had cut Dad's allowance to buy a new one. That the two of them were saving up their own allowance too. And the old woman who was a regular at Aoba Clinic, the one who taught Kurisu how to sew, wasn't doing well lately. That she'd mixed up a clothes hanger with a clothespin, and one of the patients had laughed at her. I listened to her for a long time, only speaking occasionally. Her voice gradually got softer, and eventually I realized she was talking in her sleep. Then I realized something.
そうか。
Kurisu was telling me everything that had happened in the half year I'd been gone. What had happened at home, what Dad and Yui and Yuta had been up to. She'd been saying all this because she wanted me to know.
それでね。
And then she fell asleep. As I waited for her to finish her sentence, I could hear her soft breathing. She'd fallen asleep. I slowly stood up, careful not to make a sound. There's like a squeaky toy in the ground and steps on it. Just kidding. I adjusted the blanket over her once more and went to leave.
事件を追うのは
She was probably talking in her sleep. I heard the rest as I left the room, and I understood what she was saying all too well. My room hadn't changed at all since I'd left half a year ago. I still had the same shelves, the same desk, and the same bed. Everything was as I remembered it.
本当にびっくりするくらい何も変わってないな。
I figured it would either have been turned into a storage room or be covered in dust. Dusty room.
スマホは
I checked my pockets for my phone, only to realize that I dropped it at the hospital. And that those two weird people had picked it up. I couldn't do it. I tried to remember what happened at the hospital, but instead I found myself thinking about the girl in the next room. My body was tired. My brain was telling me I needed to think about everything that had happened tonight. But I felt exhausted. There's books on the bed, too. There's so many books. Woo! So I took out the scrapbook from its usual spot on the shelf. The same articles, the same incidents from the past. I'd seen them so many times I was tired of reading about them. The newspaper article was from around 6 years ago during the Shibuya earthquake. The title was Robbery at a Refugee Shelter. My parents' names were in the article. I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna read it wrong. I'm trying. Sanoe, Mayashiro, Eriko. Oh wait, Eriko, Mayashiro. The article said that the two of them had been killed by an unknown assailant. When I'd found out about this several months ago, I'd left the dorm and gone to live in Mayashida Park. I'd been told about my parents' death when I'd woken up from my coma about a year after the earthquake. But Dad and Kurisu had told me that they'd been killed in the earthquake. I closed the scrapbook and put it back on the shelf. The fact that my parents were murdered instead of simply dying in the earthquake was a shock to me. But I think it was a lot of a shock. Wait, I read that wrong. But I think it was a lot less of a shock than Dad and Kurisu expected. I'd experienced the earthquake personally. I'd seen it for myself, how awful the looting and robbery was, and my parents had neglected me and spent all their time at work. The 5.5 years that had passed since their murder crushed any desire I had to find the killer and take revenge. No, maybe I would have never wanted to take revenge in the first place. My curiosity just made me want to find them.
そんなことより僕は
Oh, I skipped it. Why'd I do that? There was 2 rules. Wait. No, there's gotta be a way. No. That's not the way. That's okay. There were 2 rules at Aoba dorm. After dinner, everyone had to gather around the dinner table and talk. And no one was allowed to keep secrets. Just before I'd left, we'd had a huge fight during... Just before I'd left, we had a huge fight. During the fight, Kurisu had told me she didn't want to make things any worse after I'd woken up from my coma. But at the time, that sounded like nothing but an excuse. I thought we weren't supposed to keep secrets, Kurisu. I'd called her by her last name. By the time I calmed down to think about how she must have felt, I'd already moved to Mayashita Park. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was a raven, nothing more.
はい。
私、入っていい？
And who is me? Just kidding. It was Yui's voice. I told her she could come in, and the doors opened slowly.
どうした？
ちょっと。
The 2 of them were together like usual. Yuto looked like he was so tired he could barely stand. The only reason that she'd brought him in was probably The only reason that she'd brought him in was probably that if he woke up in the dark alone, he'd be scared. And this was another sight that brought back a lot of memories.
久しぶり、タクルに。
ああ、ダメだろ、こんな時間に。
I didn't know how late it was exactly, but it was probably past 3 a.m.
ちょっとくらいいいじゃん。ののね、大丈夫そうだった？
うん。今寝てるよ。
そっか、よかった。
Yui looked truly relieved.
まったく、ののねもいくら日課だからってあんな時間にお参りなんて行くから。
え？
タクル兄からも言っといてよね。
クルスがお参りだって？
え？うん、帰ってきた時にそう言ってたよ。
Heart skipped a beat. What was Kurisu doing? How much could she...
あ、タクル兄ちゃん。
Yuto suddenly opened his eyes.
どうした？
なんでも。
Then he put his head against Yui's shoulder and stopped moving. Yui sighed and helped Yuto up. Wait, I'm gonna get a drink of water and then Then hopefully I'll be better at reading. I lied, it wasn't water, it was pop. Yui sighed and helped Yuto up so that he didn't fall over.
タクルに何があったか知らないけどさ、とっとと帰ってきてよね。お風呂の掃除当番溜まってるんだから。あと買い出し当番も。
Yeah. I froze, unsure what to say. Yui gave up on holding him steady and put him on her back.
部屋綺麗でしょ。のの姉がいつも掃除してるから。じゃあおやすみ。
あ、
Don't. I slipped my hand across the desk. There wasn't a single speck of dust. The second I saw this, I felt a sharp pain deep in my nose, and my vision blurred. I sat down, unable to stand. I felt the familiar sensation of the chair and stared at the wall I'd seen a million times before.
くそ。なんだよ。
Why not? Just kidding. when I left here, the biggest thing I felt wasn't rage at the when I left here, the biggest thing I felt wasn't rage at the beginning. Was it? When I left, I can do it. When I left here, the biggest thing I felt wasn't rage at being betrayed by Dad and Kurisu. It was that I was different than everyone else. After I'd gotten so sick of the wrong-siders in elementary school that I'd just stopped going altogether after my parents had neglected me, this was the one place in my life that had been... that had been different. Kurisu, Yui, and Yuto had all lost their parents in the earthquake, just like me. This was a family made of people who'd all gone through the same thing. But I was different. I wasn't just a victim. I was a victim whose parents had been murdered. I was the one person who was different. I was special. I guess, yeah. That I wasn't like everyone else.
弟というか家族でもなんでもないじゃんか。僕たちは。
Then the tears started. In my head, I apologized to Kurisu again and again as I sat there unable to get up from my chair. It's not too late. These words are too little. Let's read a little bit of it and then... Oh wait, I can make it a little bigger. Oh, that's as big as it can go. At approximately 5 p.m. on October 6th, near... I see an S and a T. I can't tell what the other letters are. It's so small. Well, it's an address. I know that much, because I see Avenue. A girl walking home from school was asked by a suspicious man, do you know where I can get some Chanko? Chanko is a favorite dish of sumo wrestlers. The man asking her was around 30 years old, 170 centimeters tall, heavy-set with black hair, whose face looked very similar to the face on the sumo stickers. Always stay on well-lit, heavily traveled roads. Carry a personal alarm with you. Big word. I see an I and an F. Maybe I need new glasses. I don't think we need to read the comments, right? We look similar. Wait. No. That didn't. Okay, and then there's like a link to something. I see.
でも確実に歴史シールというものが人々の間に不確実な噂として浸透し始めていた。噂は集団の中で憶測を呼び、ありもしない幻影、つまりは妄想を生み出していく。一度動き出した歯車はもう誰にも止められないのだということに僕らは気づいていなかった。
Sigh. I also wanted to sigh. 2 p.m. as the whole school got executed? No, that's not right. Excited, of course! As the whole school got excited for the start of the culture festival, in 2 days, our club room was as quiet as a tomb. The only sound was Sarika's occasional fiddling with her cell phone strap. But that would quickly stop, and only silence would remain. Kazuki had even stopped playing Iso too. Everyone had looked miserable when they heard about Kurisu. And the teacher came in with his usual dopey grin.
会議が長引いちゃってね。無茶なこと言われるこっちの立場も考えてほしいもんだよね。まったく。
He looked around at us and scratched his head.
新聞部のことなんだけれど。
Everyone had looked at him. That's why we'd been waiting to hear what he had to say.
やっぱり当分の間は活動休止にするそうだ。
Shut down. I repeated the words in my mind.
決定ですか？
こうなっちゃった以上はね。
Kurisu hadn't told Yui and Yuto, but before she'd been taken to the hospital, the police had asked her several questions. She'd had to tell them what she was doing out there. Of course she would. Of course she would otherwise. Of course she would. Otherwise, she'd have no reason to explain the camera. And after the incident at the Love Hotel, the teachers probably had it in for us to begin with. Thinking back, it was a miracle we weren't shut down after the Love Hotel case.
ただ一個条件というか命令というか罪滅ぼしっていうんじゃないんだろうけど、なんて言ったらいいかな。
Mm-hmm.
いや、何でもいいですから。なんです。
ね。
He looked down at the paper he was holding.
君たち渡部智明って知ってるかい？
Probably. Sounds familiar. I'm bad with names, though. Huh?
ネット記者のですか？
Ah.
そうそう、ニコニア動画の。宮代くんよく知ってるね。
いえ。
Of course I knew it. He was famous to anyone who used I can never remember how to say it. I know they just said it. Who used Nikanya? The club had just been talking about the video he made the other day. And a lot of the class knew about him from his job at Nikanya too.
彼から文化祭で新聞部と対談したいっていうオファーが来てるんだ。
は？
なんで？
Why not?
そうね。もともとうちの文化祭を渡部さんは取材することになっていたらしいんだけどね。ほら、うちって結構有名だから。
Was it about the restoration festival? It was true that our cultural festival was considered to be part of the run-up to the big Shibuya Restoration Festival.
で、その際にぜひ新聞部と対談したいって言うんだ。なんでも君たちが作成した新聞に興味があるらしくてね。
マジかよ。
Wow. We made a really good newspaper then. The newspaper we'd made. He was probably talking about the video we'd made on the sumo stickers. The one that had gotten all those views because Watabe had come out with the same article at almost the same time.
僕は知らなかったんだけど、最近結構有名な人らしいじゃないか。それで学校側としては断りにくくてね。活動は休止だけど、その対談だけはこなしてほしいって言うんだよ。対面として。いいかな？
いいかなって言われても。
It was all so sudden that I was having a hard time processing it. And wait.
学校側からの指示なんですよね。
He nodded. Then we didn't have the right to refuse, did we?
わかりました。
よかった。いやー、本当は廃部って言われてたところ、この件で粘って休止にしてもらったからさ。
That wasn't funny.
対談は文化祭初日、あさってだから。細かい段取りはまた明日連絡するよ。あとそれから。クルス君からの伝言なんだけど。部の活動自体は本日から休止だから、文化祭の記録映像を撮ったりはもうできない。その代わり、生徒会の手伝いをしてほしいそうだ。自分の空いた穴を埋めてくれって。
そっか、のんちゃん会長だもんね。
今度の文化祭は盛り上がってるからね。手が足りないんだ。生徒会顧問としてもぜひ頼むよ。
Normally, I turn down any request from the student council. Right now, it didn't bother me at all.
わかりました。
助かるよ。じゃあ後で生徒会室に顔を出してね。
渡部と対談ってマジか。
You are. You have to, is what the school said. Just kidding. That was a pretty big deal, yeah? No one had come to the interview. No one had come to interview the newspaper club since its founding. But this wasn't entirely a good thing. The club had been shut down, and we're still having an interview with someone famous. And more than anything, I thought about Kurisu, who was still at home in bed. What was that? I heard something in here, but it was probably the wind. I'm just kidding. And there's holes in the walls. No, there isn't. I'm joking. Sarika stood up from her seat. She walked over to the window and opened the window. Windowsill! She walked up to the windowsill. Chilly air blew into the room.
尾上
Yeah, do it. Yeah. She suddenly leaned out the window and screamed. And then she leaned back inside and closed the window.
よし切り替えようタクしんちゃん花ちゃんほらタク仕切ってよ
え
のんちゃんからの頼まれ事でしょやれるとこからやろう
Sarika looked right at me as she spoke. Ito and Kazuki turned toward me as well.
タク
Fine, fine. Dunk. I slapped myself on the cheeks to help me focus. The place where Kawahara hit me still stung.
よし。じゃあまず、伊藤、生徒会室に行って生徒会から何をやればいいか指示を仰いできてくれるか。
俺お前は
僕は行かない方がいい。
I pointed to my cheek. Ito nodded. Kawahara was the vice president of the student council.
ああ私も行くよ
わかった。じゃあ和樹は。
Yeah. She was going back to her game, huh?
何すればいいか分かったら手伝ってくれよ。
Yeah. She nodded just a little.
お前は
What am
渡
I
部との
gonna
対談
do?
の準備をしておくよ。多分歴史シールの動画に関することだと思うけど。
だよな何なんだろうなこのタイミングで
That was a good question. Yeah. Why would a reporter come meet with the people who'd ended up starting a flame war over one of his articles? He definitely wasn't coming to apologize.
しんちゃん行くよ
おおう
more tiny words. I pulled Watabe's article up on the PC screen.
まだゆるく炎上してるな。
The pace of the comments was starting to slow down, but they remained basically negative. There was no way Watabe wouldn't have noticed that. Of course he would have noticed our video as well. A lot of the comments were posting the link.
なんだって言うんだ。
Did he want to ask us something about the sumo stickers? No, he wouldn't need to do an interview if that was the case. And in any event, he'd uploaded a close-up photo of the sumo sticker at the Revolving Dead, which we hadn't been able to incorporate in our video, even though we'd been at the scene. We'd had to go back to the Love Hotel and upload the photo we'd taken from the street. To be honest, our article was basically the same as his, but his photos were a lot better. I couldn't imagine there was anything he wanted to ask us.
もしかして病院のこと？
That was impossible. No one but me and Serika knew about it. No, there was no point in thinking about it. I needed to get ready for the interview and do what Kurisu asked me. Huh? Something bothered me, so I went over to the board and drew a picture. Oh, the other board.
回転デッドの力士シールのアップの画像は
I carefully removed the one that was on the board. Hey, is there something else there? Is there another sticker there? In the shadows? I see it. I knew it!
表情が違ってる。
Mm-hmm. Different than like the other ones. I went in front of the map and put the picture back on. The photo that we'd taken of the sticker and the sticker in Watabe's article were different. What was going on with that? Once everyone got back to the club room, I talked to them about it. October 8th, 2015, Friday. 11:45 p.m. The Shibuya Earthquake Memorial. The town was silent, as if it didn't even know she was there. She was standing before the names of the dead, as unmoving as the stone in front of her. In fact, it was hard to tell that she wasn't dead herself. The wind that blew down from the tops of the buildings refused to touch her shaggy hair. Wait, no, I read that wrong. Oh, but it's gone now. I think I read it wrong. The eyes that poke out through her hair were cloudy and lifeless, and her lip was pressed into a frown. She must have not bathed recently, because the smell around her was terrible. Her black clothes melted into the darkness, making the red jacket stand out a little against the gloom. Red jacket. Wait, hold on. I'm wearing a red jacket. A sound came from her lip. She pressed her jaw together as if trying to crush a piece of meat. Her leg dragged along as she started to walk, heading toward the ground. In that moment, she stood out from the scene around her. The hair passed against her face, made it impossible to read her expression, but the most incredible thing about her wasn't the strength or the sound of gritting teeth. It was anger and rage. The anger and rage covered everything about her. Her legs came to a stop. She reached out a glove-covered hand and touched a name on the memorial. She dug her fingernail into it. She scratched it again and again, as if trying to rub it out. Ah, that hurts. Ah! Her nail broke inside the glove, unable to handle the force. But she didn't stop. She ignored the blood dripping out of her glove as if she didn't feel any pain. Red continued to stain the memorial stone. Ow! The date changed. It was now October 9th. There was only 1 day left until October 10th, the date of the next New Gen Madness killing. Oh, it went closer for me. I apologize for the wait. The test images? Spreading rapidly as expected. Maintain things as they are, yes. And the target will make contact with a reporter named Watabe tomorrow. Kill him. Oh! We're on chapter 3 already? I thought it was gonna take longer for some reason. Probably because the first chapter was so long. October 9th, 2015, Friday.
さて、以上のように私の取材によって一連の事件はニュージェネレーションの狂気と呼ばれたあの事件を踏襲していると断言しても良いと思われるわけですが、その事実にこの私とほぼ同じくして気づいた動画がアップされていたのを皆さんご存知でしょうか。そうです、渋谷区にある碧峰学園の新聞部による動画です。私のようにジャーナリズムを目指すと思われる若者たちがこうして育ってきていることは非常に喜ばしい限りです。そして当の渋谷ではあの忌まわしい事件からの再出発を記念すべく近々復興祭が行われることになっています。それに先立ちまして私はその碧峰学園にて明日文化祭が行われるという情報を入手いたしました。そう、その通り。さすが勘のいい皆さんはすでにお分かりのようですが、明日の午後文化祭中である碧峰学園に赴き新聞部に突撃インタビューを行おうと考えております。ジャーナリズムを目指す若者たちの今、そしてもちろん彼らがどのようにして私と同じ情報を得事件の裏に隠された共通点に到達することができたのかを、彼らとの対話によっては事件の犯人像にさらに近づけるかもしれません。真実の追求、それが我々ジャーナリストの使命であり証であります。それでは本日の放送はここまでです。明日の対談、果たしてどんな話が飛び出すのか、そして事件の真相はお見逃しなく。
お疲れ様でした。
Thanks.
何がジャーナリストの使命だ。
え？
いや、なんでもないよ。
I hit my leg on the desk.
そうっすか。それより見てくださいよ。今日のカウント数新記録ですよ。それだけ世間の注目が高いってことっすね。
Yeah, I
当たり前だろ
guess.
俺がやってんだから。
え、
Yeah.
いや、
そうっすか。まあ明日の放送も楽しみにしてますよ。
任せておけ。明日はもっとカウントいく放送にしてやるよ。そう、この俺の手でな。
You could do it. You can make it through the hallway. Here, you're almost at the stairs. Or at that door. Wherever you're going. I put the cardboard box I was carrying on the desk. Finally, I was able to relax. Compared to the physical therapy I'd done after my coma, this was nothing, but my arms and legs were sore.
どうして僕たちが生徒会の仕事なんて。
そりゃ俺たちが生徒会に迷惑かけちまったからだろ。
Square table. Ito was standing next to the windowsill where the warm sunlight was pouring in. He looked comfortable. There was no one in the room but me and him.
確かに生徒会の仕事を手伝う約束はしたけどさ、いくらなんでもこき使いすぎだ。
I'd been running around all day carrying one thing or another. Everyone, myself most of all, knew that I wasn't cut out for physical labor. And what's more,
伊藤、
how the hell could he be playing with his smartphone when I was working so hard? After I complained, he said,
んなこと言ったって、クレーム対応は嫌だって言ったのはお前だろ。
with just one day left until the festival, all the clubs had complaints and demands to make of the student council. They'd asked for someone who could listen to them and relay them to the student council, and I decided there was no way I could do that, so I left it to Ito.
それより見たかこれ。
What did we look at? Ito showed me his phone, which he'd been playing with.
なんだ。
さっき渡部が配信してたんだよ。明日のこといろいろ喋ってたぞ。
え？
Just like Ito said, the phone was playing a video that had gone up in the last half hour.
それに見ろよこのカウント数。最近の報道でどんどん伸びてるっぽいし、明日は期待してもいいかもな。
期待ね。
Mm-hmm. Good
な
thing.
んだよそのリアクション。お前だって昨日は興奮してただろ。
I won't deny that I got a little excited when I heard about tomorrow's interview, but
やっぱりいいように利用されているだけの気がするんだよな。そもそもあの情報自体、僕たちの方が早く配信してたんだぞ。それを渡部はいかにも同じタイミングだったみたいに扱ってる。
it was a common media trick to suggest things that weren't true without actually lying.
自分の方が後出しだったってことをうやむやにしようとしてるってわけか？
ああ、
And it also felt like he was trying to use all the flame wars to up his view count.
仮にそうだとしたらどうするんだよ、明日のインタビュー。
別に普通に受けるよ。それが学校側からの条件なんだから。
No. Honestly, I'd like to shoot him down and show him up as a liar. The second I started to get a little excited, the place left on the place left on my cheek after Kamahara hit me was starting to ache. For now, I needed to focus on helping the student council, not the case.
あれ、そういえば川原君は？
ああ、なんだっけ、校庭にあっただろ、風鈴だかなんだか飾るやつ。
ああ、願い事がどうとかいう。
One of the classes was doing something about the Shibuya earthquake. They'd said they were making an area where you could write your wish on a sheet of paper that would be tied to a wind chime. Ooh. I'd been told to submit something, but I hadn't. To be honest, I didn't really like stuff like that.
あれの設置で走り回ってるってさっき。
Who's that? Who opened the door? Speak of the devil. Kawahara frowned a little when he saw me. He started to open his mouth, then closed it, then glanced at Ito, and then sighed. Something in him deciding to just give up.
終わったのか？
Done what? Kamahara was looking at the box I'd been carrying.
はい。
じゃあ次は受付にパンフ運んでくれ。
パンフレットですね。わかりました。
いってらっしゃい。
I glared at Ito, then picked up the box with the pamphlets and went to leave the student council room. Kamahara was still frowning at me. That's strange. I was sure he'd say something about Kurisu or at least insult me. After I finished carrying the pamphlets, I went to buy a drink from the vending machine. If I didn't get some caffeine from Mountain View, I wasn't going to be able to move. Get that caffeine, yeah. Someone was tugging at the hem of my uniform. I quickly turned around. No one was there.
って和樹か。脅かすなよ。
She'd been sent to help with her class's display, which was just about finished.
クラスの仕事終わったのか？だったら生徒会の方の手伝いを頼む。
Kazuki tugged even harder at my uniform.
いや、だから生徒会の手伝いを。もしかしてついてこいって言ってるのか？
She nodded. Uh-oh. Should I do one of these? Or should I skip it? I'm gonna skip it. her expression hadn't changed, but it seemed like she was having some kind of trouble. What was going on? Did she want me to help with something? I needed to get back to the student council room. But it was incredibly rare for Kazuki to actually come to me for help. It wouldn't be right to just ignore her. Well, I may as well go.
わかったよ。だから引っ張るなって。
I decided to follow Kazuki. Kazuki stopped in front of some large object with vinyl covering the top of it. What was this thing? Kazuki stared at it for a moment and then pointed at it.
もしかしてこれを運ばなきゃならないとか。
She nodded, but what's this thing anyway? A paper, a poster. She took a piece of paper out of her pocket. It looked like some kind of handmade fliller? No. File? No. Flyer! Flyer! I did it! Yay! Some kind of handmade flyer. The bright colors and big letters. It said, Class 1A, let's build a gun barrel project.
ガンバレルってアニメの？
Gun Barrel was an anime that started back when I was in middle school. When most anime these days only lasted 3 or 6 months, Gun Barrel had been on forever. In fact, I had just ended the other day. It had just ended the other day, and some idiot had decided to cancel it just before the last episode could air. This had caused a huge uproar. All of this made Gun Barrel made Gun Barrel a truly legendary anime.
これって和樹のクラスの展示物？
I see. They must have been attempting to make a model of the robot from the anime. And so they'd made all the parts in the courtyard, and now they have to get them to their classroom.
でもなんで和樹が一人で運ばなきゃならないんだ？クラスの連中は？
I followed Kazuki's gaze over to the entrance and saw students in pairs happily carrying large objects covered in sheets.
なるほど。ぼっちには辛い状況だな。
Yeah, hey. Don't kick me in the shin. And if you're going to kick me in the shin, don't do it so hard.
誰がぼっちだ？違うわ。今日はたまたま仲のいい子が休んでるだけだから。
すまん、僕の勘違いだ。
Yeah. I decided to play along.
で、僕にどうしろと？代わりに運ぶのを手伝えって？でも、これって重いんじゃないのか？
That's why she needs help. Don't look at me with those puppy dog eyes. Fine. Normally, I would have found some way to get out of it, but if Kurisu wanted the cultural festival to succeed, I didn't have a choice. I reached down to grab the object under the sheet.
よし、そっち回って。さあ、いっせーので持ち上げるぞ。行くぞ。いっせーの。
Oh.
おい。
Hmm?
お前リズム感ないのか？完全にずれてるぞ。遅い。
We weren't in sync at all. She would lift up a moment or two after I did. Because of that, we almost dropped it on the ground.
僕が悪いみたいな顔をするなよ。もう一回やるぞ。いっせー。
Carrying things.
今度は早っ。
I had to do that in high school a lot. For like building sets on a stage.
もういい。和樹に僕が合わせるから、とにかく持ち上げろ。
As she started to lift, I did too. We staggered, but managed to keep it steady.
よし。それじゃ、このまま運ぼう。
We slowly headed toward Kazuki's classroom, counting 1, 2, 1, 2 to keep ourselves in unison. Of course, I was the only one who actually spoke.
そこんとこ角になってるからな。気をつけろよ。
We made it to the stairs! This was where things got hard.
先に登って。そうそう。そのままゆっくりゆっくり。踏み外すな。踏み外すんじゃないぞ。
But making Kazuki go up first so that I could hold it from the bottom was a mistake.
あ、おい。
Even after all my warnings, Kazuki slipped and... Uh-oh. Oops. Damn it! I told you not to trip. We were just lucky we hadn't climbed up that much.
大丈夫か、和樹。
Whoa! This situation was... No, we're definitely skipping this. Something you saw all the time in anime, wasn't it? Anyway, I need to do something about this. Kazuki was so light, though. Well, she wasn't very tall, but she had a pretty good body, so actually... Wait, what was I thinking? What if someone came by and saw us? No, I need to do something. But part of me wanted to join the situation a little more. No, knowing Kazuki, there was no way. I just needed to get this done.
和樹、怪我はないか？ほら、じゃあ立って。早いところこれ持っていこう。
Fortunately, the gun barrel part wasn't damaged at all. We headed to Kazuki's classroom, being careful not to trip this time.
1の A ここか。
A girl near the entrance saw Kazuki and ran over. She looked like a normal average girl.
カズキ運んできてくれたんだ。てっきりバックレたのかと思ってた。あれてかこっちの人は？
いや、その。
ああ、知ってる。確か新聞部の。明日渡部と対談するって。
We are. Oh, how did she know?
君が？
Yeah, who are you?
大河内って言います。
いや、名前じゃなくて知ってるんですか？その渡部との。
やだ、みんな知ってますよ。噂になってるし。
That surprised me. I thought that only a few people at school knew about a Nikanya reporter. I had no idea a girl like this, who didn't look like she kept up with the news at all, would know about it. What? And there were even rumors about it.
頑張ってくださいね。楽しみにしてますから。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Kazuki ignored the two of us and took the part inside, then silently put it on the floor. No one tried to help. But as I went over to her,
ああ、わざわざすいません。あとはこっちでやっとくんで、そこに置いといてください。
that girl. Okui? Oku? I'm trying to remember how she said it earlier. Okoichi? Said that to me. I did as I was asked and left the room. And then Kazuki followed me.
何？
She offered me a lollipop.
くれるのか？
It's unwrapped. Was this her way of thanking me? But
それ食べかけだろ。
she sighed and put it back in her mouth, then took out a small bag from her skirt pocket. It was dried squid.
どうも。手が空いたら生徒会の方も手伝ってくれよ。一応部員なんだから。
Kazuki shrugged and walked up the stairs. Maybe she was going back to the club room to play her game some more. I probably couldn't count on her to help. October 9th, 2015, Friday. Hiryoko Tashita was working at her part-time job at as a grocery store cash register, or like a cashier. Okay. Her husband was always out working late, but she didn't actually make any money. But he didn't actually make any money. His airheaded personality meant that he was perennially stuck in lower management. Her son was in college and spent all his time playing. Here, wait, I'm gonna get a drink. Her son was in college and spent all his time playing. She was spending a lot of time to send him there. Wait. She was spending a lot of money to send him there, but he'd grown into a selfish boy who constantly damaged cars and trips. Wait, what? Is there a word behind me? There isn't. Of course, their budget was always stretched to the limit. They hadn't built any kind of savings. They lived in Shibuya, true, but she had to live with her in-laws, which didn't make things easy at all. The idea of going to lunch with her friends from the neighborhood seemed as remote as the fiction she saw paraded on the news early night. That she saw paraded on the news early in the night. She waited. She wanted an easier life. Lately, she'd been all sighs. Yesterday, she actually sighed at work and gotten a warning from her boss. The store where she worked was a long Meiji Road, about a 5-minute walk from Shibuya. The lunchtime rush had ended and things were calming down. She wanted to take a little break, but it wasn't break time yet.
合計で3127円になります。
A woman in front of her who was taking out her wallet was one she'd seen several times before. She wore fancy clothes and a slender, attractive body. Her makeup was perfect, too. Even when she was only going shopping at a supermarket, she must live in a different world. Maybe she was what they called a celebrity wife. The woman seemed very anxious as she waited for her to finish. Toshida hadn't even handed over her change yet, and she'd already lifted up her shopping basket. What was bothering so much? Was she feeling sick? She did seem a little pale. Toshida wondered about her, but that didn't have enough. But they didn't have enough of a relationship that she felt comfortable asking. She handed her receipt and change, and the woman quickly left. Toshida greeted the next customer, and then gasped. It was a man. And he was wearing a mask. The mask had the same design as those things they called sumo stickers. She'd heard about the stickers on the news several days ago. She'd learned that lately they were popular in Shibuya and nowhere else. She had seen them several times on her way to and from work. It was a disgusting design, and the idea of Shibuya being overrun with the things made her sick. And this man was wearing a mask with the same design. That meant she couldn't see his face. His clothes were completely normal. They weren't particularly filthy, and he didn't look like a pervert or a crazy man, but that made it even stranger that he'd be wearing a mask to hide his face. And one so poorly constructed that it was obviously handmade. Was this why the last customer seemed so anxious? The man was standing completely still. He didn't say anything to Tashida. And then she realized that she'd been staring at his face for quite a long time.
すみません。いらっしゃいませ。
She looked inside his shopping basket. It was filled with several bowls of instant ramen and single 2-liter.
4378円になります。
As she gave him the total, she happened to see the customers in the other lanes. This time, she was struck completely silent. It wasn't just her register. Every single register had a customer wearing a mask. There were so many of them, and they were all standing silently. There were already 10 people lined up at the register, and all of them wearing sumo sticker masks. The store never got this busy, even at lunchtime on a Saturday. The only thing the people in the masks had in common was that they were men. They all wore different clothes. A tall man in a sweatshirt, a fat middle-aged man in running clothes, a well-built man in a sweater, and so on and so on. Not all of them looked like they had steady jobs, but not all of them looked like they were unemployed. And not one of them said a word. They just stood there in line, masks on their head and baskets in their hands. The noisy supermarket suddenly fell silent, and all the other employees and customers stared at the men in the masks, eyes wide. Yeah, so that happened. On my way to the student council room, I remembered that I'd been planning on getting a mountain view and headed back to the vending machines. Only caffeine and carbonation combined in the mightiest of drinks could slake my thirst. I just want a Mountain Dew. Just as I was about to put my coin in the slot, I heard a voice I recognized.
尾上？お前、手が足りないクラスの手伝いをしてるんじゃないのか？
そう、それ。お願いだから助けて。
She grabbed my hand and yanked me
ち
forward.
ょっと待ってくれ。さっきからあちこち動きっぱなしで。
それどころじゃないんだってば。とにかくタクがいないと。ああ、見つけた。
I heard the exact same phrase that I heard a moment ago.
先輩方、チャオっす。やあやあ、今日もお二人仲が良さそうで何よりです。
有村さん。
あなた、殺されますよ。宮代拓先輩。
Here, I'm gonna stretch. I remember the word she said before. It was definitely Arimura who was in front of me now. The one at the murder scene. And the one who'd been talking to a detective about the case. I could feel myself start to sweat.
有村さん、なんで。
やだな、後輩なんだから呼び捨てでいいって言ってるじゃないですか。ねえ、リカ。リカ？名前、セリカでしょ？やだ？じゃあ、セリでファイナルアンサー？ファイナルなのか、アンサーなのか。アンサー。ついでに私のことはヒナでいっから。はい、声に出して言ってみよう。せーの。ひな。ダメ、たどたどしいぞ。もう一回。ひな。
Yeah, you gotta say it fast.
まだちょっち硬いけどいいとすっか。じゃよろしくね、セリ。
What was she doing? This wasn't the same as this wasn't the same Arimura who told me I was going to be killed. This was how she was when she talked to her classmates. This only made me wonder. Was she planning something? What was she doing at the Love Hotel that day?
お、どうしたんですか、宮代先輩。視線が熱いですよ。
あ、いや。
もしや私に惚れちゃいましたか？タク、そうなの？
違う、そうじゃ。
もうそんな否定しなくても素直になっちゃいなよ、ユウ。あ、でも言っときますけど、私に惚れると怪我するぜよ。
It was no good. I couldn't keep up with her energy.
というわけでセリ、宮代先輩借りてくぜ。
は？
Before I could say anything, Arimura wrapped her arm around mine and pulled me away.
あれ、ヒナ？
Bye
アディオ
bye.
スグラッシャー、セリ。また来
Next year.
年。
あの。
あ、何ですか？
話してもらえませんか？
あはは、これは気が回りませんで。
She bopped herself on the head and let go of my arm. Dunk. And then she led me further down the hall, humming as she went. Hum 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 hum. What was she doing? It felt like she was up to something. She must have noticed I wasn't moving because suddenly she turned around.
やだな、そんなあからさまに用心しないでくださいよ。ひなちゃん悲しい。
She pretended to cry.
一体どこまでが本気なんだ。わけがわからない。
ほら、ここです、ここです。ささ、入って入って。
And she pointed to an empty classroom. What was she planning on doing here?
でも
大丈夫ですって。取って食ったりなんかしませんからね。
いやちょっと
Damn it! In the end, I gave in and went into the classroom.
さてと、先輩にここに来てもらった理由わかりますか？
No, I don't know. Hmm.
いえ
Of course
心
not.
当たりないです？
That was the only thing I could think of. But seeing the way she acted today, it was hard to believe that it was the same
ど
girl.
っちの姿が本当の彼女なんだろ
Maybe if what I was imagining was the real her, then the reason she brought me here must be. It had to be that.
事件のことですか？
Arimura's expression turned serious. I gulped repeatedly, feeling a little overwhelmed.
その僕も聞きたかったんですけど、あの事件の
何のことですか？
Arimura suddenly smiled. She was smiling, but her voice made it clear that she was refusing to answer my question. I would have liked it more if she'd been frowning. I opened my mouth as if being pushed forward by some indescribable fear.
今さらとぼけたって無駄だと思います。そのあの現場に君がいたことは確かなんですから。君はどうしてあそこにいたんですか？
She was looking at me, but I couldn't read any kind of emotion in her eyes. I almost stepped back, but stopped myself.
ああ、なんか先輩、刑事さんみたいっすね。
Detective. And now she was back to her casual tone of
く
voice.
そ。なんだよこの子。
あの人は古い友人で、時々ああして会って、いろいろと話を聞いてただけっすよ。
That was what she said before when she was meeting with that detective named Shinjo at Cafe Lax.
だから、先輩が思ってるような関係じゃないですから、残念でした。
は？残念？
お、とぼけますか？あんなところで落ち合ってたんだから、エッチな想像してたんでしょ。もう男子ってみんなそうですよね。やらしい。
いや違う、そうじゃなくて。
またまた、こんなところに連れてきたから、本当はちょっと期待してたんでしょ。でしょ。
だからそういうのじゃなくて。
It made sense now that she mentioned it, but honestly, the idea hadn't occurred to me at all.
僕はただ純粋にその。え？
Arimura looked at me with narrow eyes, as if she was judging me. What was that about?
私が先輩をここに連れてきたのは宮代先輩のことが知りたくなったからです。
僕のことが。
というわけで
She started to rustle through the contents of a cardboard box that had been beneath the desk. Uh-huh. But what was she getting out? What was she going to do with me?
だからそんなに警戒しちゃ嫌ですよ。これ手伝ってほしいだけですから。
What is it? It was a huge stack of papers.
そのこれって。
They're papers.
今からこれ製本するんで手伝ってください。いやー、友達に頼まれちゃって。ほら、私って頼まれると断れないタイプじゃないですか。
No, I didn't know that.
待ってください。どうして君が頼まれたことに僕が借り出されなきゃいけないんですか？
交換条件で学食の食券2週間分くれるって言うんですもん。
だからそれにどうして僕が。
愚問な。そんなの2人でやった方が早いからに決まってるじゃないですか。
Yeah.
全然理由になって。
まあまあ細けいことはいいんですよ。まずはこっちのページから折っていきますよ。
She handed me a stack of printouts without waiting for my response.
ほらほら、口を動かす前に手を動かす人になりましょう。
If you got time to clean, you got time to lean. Wait, did I say that right? Because if you have time to clean, yeah, if you have time to clean, you have time to lean. She was ignoring me and started to work. I guess that meant she didn't intend to tell me anything else about the case. The detective had said that Kakita, the victim in the revolving dead case, had been murdered, and that she was cooperating and exchanging information with him. But if I asked her about that, she'd find out that I had overheard her conversation at Cafe Lax. In the end, I was forced to help make pamphlets for one of the younger classmates I knew nothing about.
もうすぐ復興祭っすね。
そうですね。
やりにくいな。
何がですか？
それっすよ、それ。後輩なんだから敬語はいらないって言ってるじゃないですか。
そうですよね。
まあいっか。そのうちおいおい後々後々ってことで。
Huh?
で何の話でしたっけ？そう思い出した。復興祭。復興祭って言えば校庭にあるあの風鈴の飾り。先輩なんて書きました？
ああいうの好きじゃ。
The music stopped.
いや、なんでも。
Oh no. I'd said what I was really thinking.
僕それ書いてないです。言われたの忘れてて。
なんすかそれ、協調性ないですな。
I couldn't argue with that, but I had a feeling that no one got along with with the group as well as Arimura.
でもそっか、その手があったか。私もそうすればよかったかもな。
I couldn't tell if she was faking or not, but at least on the surface, she seemed sincere.
有村さんはなんて？
知りたいっすか？
Yeah. She brought her face up close to mine.
いや、まあ。
私はね秘密です。乙女の秘密は高いのですよ。
What? I really didn't understand. You gotta give her $1,000 to know. There was the Arimura I was talking to now and the Arimura I'd seen with Shinjo, and the one that told me I was going to be killed. Which one was the real Arimura?
よし、できた。
え？
ちょっと先輩、まだ終わってないんすか？遅い。
ごめんなさい。
しょうがない。私が手伝ってあげるんで、半分貸してください。
ありがとう。
Now, wait. Why was I saying thanks? There was no reason for me. There was no reason for me to be doing any of this anyway, was there? What was I doing?
よし、できた。
All done. I reached up to stretch my arms, and every joint in my shoulders, back, and hips cracked nice. I'd been helping people all day, and my body felt like it was reaching its limit.
あざっす。先輩のおかげで思ったより早く終わりました。グラッチェグラッチェ。
それで完成したこれはどこへ？
ああ、いいっすいいっす。それは取りに来てもらいますから。
そう。
I thought about asking her about the case again, but decided against it. To be honest, the look on her face I had seen last time still scared me.
それじゃあ僕はここで。
あ、先輩、ちょい待ちです。
え？
明日、渡部さんとの対談ありますよね。
Mm-hmm.
うん、あり
Yeah.
ますけど。
Even Arimura knew about it?
友達もみんな噂してますよ。今や先輩は注目の的。
Whoa. Kazuki's classmates have been talking about it too? I guess it really was a big deal. That just showed how famous Watabe was, I guess.
で、お願いがあるんですけど。
Her suddenly sweet voice made my heart skip a beat, but I tried to keep my I tried my best to hide it.
なんですか？
その対談の時にあのスクープの元になった画像どうやって撮ったか聞いてくれませんか？
え？
The photo for his big scoop?
渡部さんの記事に貼ってあったあの画像のことです。
Oh yeah. Wow. Was that what she was trying? Wait. Was that what she was talking about?
どうしてそんなことを？
まあまあいいじゃないですか。細かいことは気にしない。明るく楽しくいきましょうよ。
だけど。
わかった。わかりました。じゃあこれあげますから、ひなえちゃんとの約束。
Arimura slid something into my chest pocket and pushed me out onto the hallway.
あ、ちょっと
Bye bye!
助かりましたアディオスブラッシ
And she slides away. Whee! I took out the thing she'd put in my pocket.
食券
And only 3 days worth. The nerve. Now that I was alone, everything about Arimura seemed somehow off. Everything that had happened, everything that she said, seemed like it was covered in lies. Everything, including the reward I'd been given, made it seem like I was being tricked. October 9th, 2015, Friday. What time? Same time as right now. Right now is the time. Shinjo took out a picture of the face of the man who'd been stabbed. Kurisu then showed it to Kunosato.
そちらの読み通り、こいつと病院に入院していた例のイラストレーターとはつながりがあった。
Kunosato didn't really react. She listened to him speak as if she knew everything he was going to say already.
同じ高校の同級生だ。一時は原作と絵を2人で分担して共同のペンネームで漫画を描いていたこともあるらしい。
そいつらが一連の猟奇殺人の犯人だという可能性はアリバイはあるのか。
2人とも1年ほど前から病室もしくは部屋に引きこもりだ。イラストレーターの方は病院の監視カメラにもその記録が残ってる。壁砲の生徒を刺した男の方は家族の証言に頼るしかないが、警察に駆けつけてきた時、
Hello, who is it? And then the phone rang, and nobody was there. Oh, Kunisada picked it up, and it picked it up without saying a word to Shinjo.
私です
And who is me? Even from here, he could tell exactly how annoyed Hinai Arimura was. But Kunosato cut her off before she could say a word.
ごねるつもりか、それとも報告か。どっちだ。
Both.
そういうところが
Kunosato had no intention of listening to her complaints. Did she do as she was told? Did she get any results? That's all Kunosato wanted to hear.
どっちなんだ。
伝えました。これでいいんですよね。
よし。明日は当然お前も立ち会え。直接だ。出なければ意味がない。
こういうのやめてもらえませんか？いろいろめんどくさいんです。私はあなた方に協力する気は。
Kunosato hung up before she could finish her sentence. Shinjo was glaring at her.
どうした？続けろ。
今のは有村さんだろう。こちらに無断で進めるのはやめてくれないか。
代替案のない批判は誹謗に過ぎないし、誹謗は暇人か無能であることの証明だぞ。続けろ。
お前な。
Shinjo frowned, dissatisfied, but gave up flipped through the papers he was holding.
どこまで話したんだった？
壁法の生徒を刺した男の家族の証言。
ああ。男の家族が警察に駆けつけてきた時の第一声は、息子が人を刺すなんてありえないではなく、息子が外出するなんてありえないだったそうだ。猟奇殺人が起こった日も絶対に家から出ていないと言っている。
Kunosato looked upward for a second, as if in thought.
その証言、信用してもいいとは思うな。男の作っているイカれたページが事件のあった時刻に更新されているし、まあそれが偽装と言い切れなくもないが、精神鑑定は？
相変わらず救世主がどうのこうのと繰り返している。
メガロマニアか。
Kunosato frowned as if she was annoyed.
イラストレーターは2007年頃何をしていた？
ん ?2007 年はまだ地方だ。九州だな。
確かか。
ああ。2008年末に東京に越してきて、その時高校で傷害の犯人と一緒になった。
なるほど。当てが外れたな。釣れたのは結局結界説なんかの妄想に逃げ込む奴らだけか。
Suddenly, she leaned back in the chair, seemingly bored.
結局そいつらは猟奇殺人に関しては白だったか。単なる歴史シールの模倣犯の可能性が高いな。
I'm sitting in the chair now.
模倣犯？
アリバイが確立している以上、まあある程度だが、事件との直接のつながりは薄い。間接的につながるとしたら歴史シールに関することだけ。原作と絵に分かれていたということは、絵を描くのはイラストレーターの方だったんだろう。歴史シールが最初に発見されたのは2007年頃の東京だが、その頃そいつは九州にいた。漫画で芽が出ず、承認欲から悪ふざけで歴史シールの作者を名乗り、お互いに精神を病んで、片方は持ち前の画力を生かして歴史シールに取りつかれ、もう片方は物語でも書いているつもりでそれを妄想のネタにした。無論確証のない推測だが、どの道すぐにわかる。それよりも
Whoa. What was more concerning was the fact that the man hadn't left his room for years. Would he really leave it just because he'd learned about a bunch of stickers appearing? And that was where the illustrator was kept. During the New Generation Madness, there were rumors that the hospital was involved with a certain religious organization that had been involved in that particular case. And it was also supposedly related to Koshin, the company involved in the restoration work that had resulted in security cameras all over town.
俺は正直半信半疑だぞ。こんないたずら書きみたいなシールが事件に関係しているなんて。
なら安心しろ。明日は別口だ。
Misato opened up a file she'd saved on her PC.
これは
明
What
日
is it?
駅法の新聞部と対談を行う渡部の記事だ。
お前が影で接触して炎上を煽ったあのネット記者か。
ああ、
She nodded and then opened a picture of the photo of the sumo sticker that was taken at the scene, then lined it up against the one in the article. Oh, and here comes my cat. I don't know if she's gonna meow or not. But there's another sticker there, see? It's in the shadows. It looks like, or maybe, I don't know. But she just stared at it for a moment, and then he realized.
表情が違ってる。
渡部は今回のこと以外でも様々な現場に潜入しては大量のスクープ画像をものにしている。その数があまりにも多いため、一部の人間が捏造だと言って専門家たちに調査を求めた。渡部は快く応じ、その結果、画像には一切改ざんの跡は見られなかった。
Shinjo figured out what she was trying to say. No way, he whispered to himself.
明日、有村に確認させる。もしそうであれば。
Yeah.
楽しい文化祭になるかもしれないな。
Or it might be a lot of scary. Exhausted from all the work I had been doing, I decided to use one of the meal tickets I'd been given. I headed for the cafeteria. But then I realized that I'd never used the cafeteria before and had no idea how it worked. There were a lot of loud groups that I ate there, and I didn't like it. In the end, I gave up. Instead, I decided to go out into the courtyard and check on a thought I had. What's this thought you had, huh? The wind chimes that had been up for the Restoration Festival, and the wishes that were tied to them. Arimura had said it was a secret, but I was interested in seeing what she'd written. So then he goes and looks at all of them, reads everyone's wishes, then maybe I'd get a clue as to who she really was. I tried to find her name among the huge number of wind chimes. There were no clappers inside the chimes, so with so many wind chimes, if there had been, it would have been an incredible noise. I saw several other messages as I searched. Please let everyone be happy. Please don't let anyone be sad. There were a lot of there were a lot of platitudes like that. And then I found it. Hinae Arimura. What's it say? It was just a single line.
本当のことが見つかりますように。
What did that mean? The truth about the earthquake? No, there was no truth to be found. An earthquake was an earthquake. There was an urban legend that the quake had been caused artificially, but there was no way that could be true. What had she meant when she'd written this? I turned around and saw a familiar face.
もうどこ行ってたの？ずっと探してたんだよ。電話しても繋がらないし。
My heart raced a little when I heard that.
だからスマホは落としたんだって。お前も知ってるだろ。
そっか。
I dropped my phone at AH Tokyo General Hospital and still didn't have it back. No, I was probably never going to get it back. They had it now. It was their phone now. The two of them that I'd seen in the pictures on the board at the club room. Of course I'd filled out the paperwork Of course I'd filled out the paperwork to have it shut off already. The phone itself was locked, so if they tried to use it anyway, it should wipe itself. So they probably wouldn't be able to see what was inside, but still, the idea of someone else, particularly someone else connected to the case, from having my phone wasn't a pleasant one.
新しいの買った方がよくない？
まあ、そうなんだけどさ。
I'd spent the whole day reaching into my pocket and being surprised to find that it wasn't there. Only now that it was gone, did I realize how much I depended on my phone. It was probably a good idea to do what she said and go buy a new one, but that phone was...
タク？
なんでもない。それより何か用か。
そうだった。とにかく大変なんだよ。
Actually, she'd like to... Wait. Actually, she looked like she was in a big hurry a moment ago.
だから何が？
だからね、とにかく来て。
I was dragged off again. I'd lost count of how many times that happened today. About 3 times? I was counting.
お帰りなさいませ。ご主人様ケロン。
Their voices were from my class's project, the Igara Froggy Cafe. After they said their line, my classmates all started to do some kind of strange dance. They were making a video that would be displayed in the center of the cafe.
だからオリジナルのゲロカエルは喋らないんだって。
Normally, I would have been forced to spend the day recording them. But since I had to help the student council, I'd been temporarily released.
で、これがどうしたんだ？
なんか壊れちゃったみたいなの、カメラ。
え？
She pointed to the camera that I'd set up.
音が出ないんだよ。それでみんな困ってて。
Like it's not picking up the sound, or there's no sound coming from the camera. Sarika's tiny finger reached out and hit the play button. She was right, there was no sound from the camera.
変だな。今朝確認した時にはちゃんと。
I decided to start by checking the camera settings. Oh, so that was it.
これ、誰かが設定いじっただろ。
どうなのかな？
音声出力がスピーカーじゃなくなってる。
I called up the right setting and changed the output method. When I switched it over, I suddenly heard loud laughter and yells coming from the speaker. Sarika smiled. I felt a little relieved. If they hadn't been able to take the video, who knows what the rest of the class would have said about me.
皆さん、カメラ直りましたよ。撮影しますね。
It was never broken, though. It's okay, it was
じゃあ始めんぞ
broken to
アメ
them.
コ
はい大丈夫ですどうぞ
Since I was the camera expert, I was put in charge of the filming. What a pain in the butt. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of this crap.
じゃあ行くぞせーの
The loud music started to play again, and they all began to dance. But then, they weren't happy with the results. First, someone messed up the choreography. Then they wanted to change up the positions, and it went on and on. I only felt like doing a job the first few times. They said it was a promotional video, but it was really just a ripoff of something they'd seen on Nikanya. No matter what I did, it wasn't going to turn out right. But they were still smiling as they danced.
何がそんなに楽しいんだろうな。
ごめん間違えた
もう、だからそこは右だって右。お箸持つ方よ、ゲロスケ。わかる？
I really didn't care. I hope this would end soon.
タク、ダメだよ。顔に出てる。
じゃあお前が代わりにやってくれよ
タクみたいにかっこよく撮れないもん。
おだてても無駄だぞ
おだててなんていないよ。
Sarika gave an easygoing laugh like she always did. Oh, fine, she seemed to say. And then...
ねえ宮代くん今までの見れる
Suddenly, a girl in a costume talked to me. What was her name? I felt like I'd talked to her before.
見れますよ
あれちょっと音が悪くない
このカメラのマイクって音楽録音用じゃないんだそうです、田中先輩。
Tanaka, so that was her name. Sarika was amazing. I was in the same class and I didn't even know her name.
ふんありがとうあそういえばさ新聞部ワタヤンと対談するって本当
Watayana? Watayan?
ニコニアの渡部さんのことですか本当ですけど
やっぱマジなのちょっとマジだって
Why was she bringing everyone over to here? And suddenly I was surrounded.
マジかよすげえじゃん
対談って何すんの？
I don't know.
さあよくわかんないんですけど
Tanaka seemed surprised.
あの動画のことじゃないの
It might be. I was surprised. Even Tanaka knew about it.
てかさ、新聞部っていまいち目立ってないけど、実はすごかったりする？
Probably, I'd like to think so.
そんなことは
if they're having an interview with Watayan, that seems like that means. And Tanaka started to talk, and everyone started to listen. But what the heck was going on? I knew that Kazuki's classmates and Arimura had talked about it, but I didn't expect my own class to get to get this excited. Was talking to Watabe that special?
つかよ。んなことよりもう一つの噂。お前、あれってマジなん？
Other rumor.
川原と殴り合ったって。
I almost reached for my cheek, but managed to stop myself.
マジで？
あ、そういえば少し腫れてる。
A chorus of "Wait, how and why" began. Guys, calm down. What's going on here?
すげえな、宮代。お前喧嘩なんかすんの？
いや、喧嘩ってわけじゃ。
で、あれだろ宮代。川原ってことは女帝と関係あんだろ？
いや、まあそうですけど。
え、何それ何それ。もしかしてノノの取り合い？マジ？かっこいいじゃん。
I couldn't take it anymore. You ran away. Where are we running to? I went to the hallway as the girls started to talk about romance. I leaned up against the wall and sighed. I could hear people in the classroom asking where I'd gone. My head hurt. Get some
大丈夫？
water. Sarika poked her head out of the classroom. I waved my hand and told her I was fine. And then...
人気者になったね、タク。
Sarika was smiling. I had no idea what she was happy about.
お前な。
They were just talking about my interview with Watabe and argument with Kawahara because it was a good excuse to get excited and have fun.
気づいた？
何が？
What?
呼び方、カメラっ子から宮代になってたよ。
Was I?
宮代くん？
Tanaka poked her head out from behind Sarika.
どうしたの？いきなり出てっちゃって。
そのトイレに。
あ、そっか。ごめん。
Tanaka scratched her head a little. She looked apologetic.
ごめんね。大事な対談とかあるのにダラダラしちゃって。ダンス次でちゃんと決めるから。
はい、私たちも可愛く撮りますから頑張ってください。
Sarika answered for me.
ありがとう。
As she turned to go back to the classroom, I found myself speaking to her.
田中さん。
何？
Huh? Why was I saying this?
踊りに使ってる曲の音源、後でもらえますか？
それはいいけど、なんで？
最初のセリフ以外は踊ってるだけですから、 セリフと音楽を別にして映像に重ねます。それで綺麗な音にできると思います。
そんなことこれからできるの？
Yeah.
ありがとう。じゃあそれで。ごめん。トイレ早く行ってきて。
She ran back into the classroom excited. Phew! That made me nervous. I felt so tired. Sarika waved her cell phone strap at me happily. It made the same strange sound it always did.
だから何が嬉しいんだよお前。
Why not?
タクがね、やる気になってるから。
別にそういうわけじゃない。ただ
どう？
Even if it was cliche, for a moment, I thought this whole school festival thing might not be so bad. Whoa, it's nighttime now! I opened the lid on my Mountain View and took a big gulp. My head finally felt clear. Mountain View really was the water of life. Drink it on the hour, by the hour. By the time I'd finished helping with the setup for the cafe and the other things the student council had needed me, it was night. The air on the roof was a little cool on the skin, but still, all the preparations weren't finished, and the student council included me in their helpers, and other helpers had been running around the whole time. It might end up, I might end up having to stay the night.
勘弁してほしいよな。まったく。
Staying the night at school, you ever had to do that? If like a big storm showed up and you're at school.
何が？
そりゃいくら文化祭だからって何も止まってまで。
Huh?
お疲れ様。
クルス？
For a moment, I doubted what I was seeing, but it was definitely Kurusu.
何やってんだよ。怪我は大丈夫なのか？
いやだ。あんまり重病人扱いしないでほしいわね。
But I could see her face twist a little in pain. Of course. She had only been stabbed 2 days ago. Even I knew she ought to stay in bed.
重病人扱いも何も重病人だろ。寝てなきゃダメじゃないか。
Whenever me and the other kids got sick or got hurt, Kurusu was always the one to say, don't push yourself too hard. What's the other word? It's okay to rely on people around you. When I told her that, she chuckled.
覚えてるのね。
I remember. She seemed a little happy.
気になって少し様子を見に来ただけ。しっかりやってくれてるみたいで、ちょっと安心した。
大丈夫だよ。サボるわけないだろ。
勘弁してくれって言っていたのに。
Hey.
それは。
Wanting a break is fine. Kurusu smiled, as if she was enjoying watching me choke on my words.
はい、これ。
Kurusu handed me a small bag. It was handmade from felt. Back when I still lived with her, Kurusu had made one for Yui, Yuto, and herself, each in different color. Where had I put mine, come to think of it?
お弁当。あなたのことだから、どうせご飯もちゃんと食べてないんでしょ？
作ってきたのか？
おにぎりくらいだけどね。
I didn't have time to make anything more, she said. What was she thinking? Why would she do that when she was injured? I sat down and opened the bag, and there was a little lunchbox inside. There were 2 big rice balls and lightly pan-fried hot dog. And some tamagoyaki? She was right. None of that was particularly hard to make.
バランスとか全然で悪いけど。どうしたの？
いただきます。
I suddenly felt really embarrassed. I decided to try and hide it by taking a big bite out of the rice ball. It was a taste I hadn't experienced in a while, and it was one I used to enjoy all the time.
ねえ、今日のこと聞いてもいい？
Kurusu waited for me to finish, then gently asked me. I looked up and saw that at some point she started staring up at the stars.
今日一日何があったのか知りたいの。朝から何があって、あなたがどういうことをしていたのか。
生徒会の手伝いだよ。知ってるだろ。
具体的に聞きたいのよ。あなたの口から直接。
And then we go over everything that just happened again. Just kidding. Maybe. Sometimes they do that in this game. She turned toward me. She seemed very serious about this. I didn't really know what she was thinking, but I felt like I had to give her a real answer.
和樹の手伝いをした。
和樹の？
うん。クラスの展示に使うパーツを運んでほしいって。
そう。和樹喜んでた？
多分。ああ、そういえばスルメくれた。
そう。他には？
有村さんに知らないクラスのパンフレット作りを手伝わされた。
有村さん？
Her eyes narrowed just a little. Arimura was involved in the case, so she probably didn't want me talking to her.
大丈夫だよ。本当にパンフを作らされただけだから。
そう。それだけなのね。
To be honest, I tried to talk to her a little about the case, but if I told Kurisu that she'd get worried. So I didn't.
それで他には？あなたのクラスはどうなの？ゲロカエルン喫茶だったかしら？
ああ、それはなんとか形になったみたいだけど。
あなたが映像の担当なんでしょ？
Oh yeah, I nodded.
もうほとんど終わってて、残りは明日の朝。映像はもうできてるから、それに音楽を載せるだけなんだ。
朝で間に合うの？
No.
十
Just
分だ。
kidding. And honestly, I hadn't expected to be working until the morning of the festival.
でも今日は泊まり込みになるんでしょ？
Kurisu talked as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I almost couldn't believe it.
毎年こんなに忙しかったのか、文化祭って。
I never participated, so I had no idea that everyone was doing all this work.
まあね。でも今年は特別。復興祭も近いし、初めての3学年揃っての文化祭だから。
そっか。
We third year students had been the first class at Hekio Academy. This would be the first year that all 3 grades had a full class at
もう
at
一日
school.
中バタバタしすぎてわけがわかんなかったよ。
I'd been forced to carry so much stuff that I was getting muscle cramps, and then it was one problem after another. And talking to new people always made me nervous, and I had to do that a bunch of times. I was really tired.
何？
Kurisu saw me thinking back on the day's events and smiled.
それで？それで、あなたはどう感じたの？
How did it feel?
大変だったよ。
それだけ？
Mm-hmm. Just kidding. It was like she could read my mind. Damn it. I just felt a little awkward as I
あ
spoke.
のさ、
ええ。
うちのクラスとか結構いいやつもいた。
そうなんだ。
うん。明日の渡部との対談楽しみにしてるって。
そう。
あとカメラっ子って言っていたやつが宮代って。
うん。どう？タクル。
何が？
She looked like a mother giving a present to a young child.
事件なんか追わなくても結構楽しいものでしょ？
No, I have to solve cases.
それは。
Just kidding. I tried to deny it, but I couldn't. That's right. Kurisuya came all the way, even though she was hurt, just to say this.
タクル、帰ってくる気にはなれない？父さんもユイもユウトもそれを望んでる。特にユイがね、あなたがお風呂掃除をしていなかったってうるさいの。
I could imagine it. Yui was like a mini Kurisu. The woman definitely had the upper hand in that household.
タクル、もう事件なんか追わないって約束して。帰ってきなさい。手伝ってほしいことたくさんあるの。タクル。
ごちそうさま。
I put the lunchbox back in the bag, stood up and handed it to Kurisu. Then I headed toward the door.
わかった。考えてみるよ。
そう、よかった。
I could hear Kurisu's footsteps as she tried to catch up to me, but the next moment... Oh
クル
no!
ス。
I heard a small moan, and I turned around. Kurisu had crumpled to the ground, holding her stomach.
おい、クルス。
平気。大丈夫。
She was trying to force herself to smile, but There were thick drops of sweat from on her
大丈夫じゃ
forehead.
ないだろ
ごめんなさい。
とにかく帰るんだ。タクシー呼ぶから。
I let her lean on my shoulder as we hurried for the front gate as quietly but quickly as possible.
青葉院までお願いします。
I got her loaded inside the taxi and told the driver where to go.
タクル。さっきのこと考えておいて。
Fine, I get it. I moved away so I could shut the door.
タクル。ありがとう。
何が？
何がだろうね。
The door closed and the taxi disappeared down the road. Usually everyone called her the Empress, and she acted like my big sister. Now she looked weak, as if I was the big brother and she was the little sister.
あ、そうだ、ユイ。
I remembered Yui when I thought of little sisters. I need to send her a message about Kurisu. Oh yeah, you don't have a phone because you dropped it. I put my hand in my pocket, and once again I realized my phone wasn't there. Damn it! How many times is this going to happen today? I'd have to ask Serika.
宮代？え？川原くん。
Oh no. He had seen Kurisu here? Oh, had
何
he?
かあったのか？あ、いや、そうじゃありませんけど。そうか。
From the way he was acting, he probably didn't see her right. If he had seen her, he wouldn't be acting this way. He probably blamed me for putting too much strain on Kurisu and hit me again.
ほら。
Kawahara tossed something at me.
あ、
It was a bowling ball. Ah! I almost dropped it, but I managed to grab it. At least grab it at the last second. There we go. It was a can of coffee.
飲めよ。いや、でも泊まり込みになるからな。あ、はあ、どうも。
Coffee. He opened another can for himself and took a drink, then looked around the courtyard. There were stalls lined up, each covered in flashy decorations. All the preparations were finished around
ク
here.
ルスが来れないって分かった時はどうなるかと思ったけど、なんとか形になりそうだな。うん。
What was going on? Kawahara kept glaring over at me as if he was waiting for the right moment to say something. Eventually, he took a big sip of the coffee and said,
悪かったな。
he pointed to my cheek. I knew he was talking about hitting me.
いえ、悪かったのは僕ですから。
He began to speak hesitantly. Actually, you see.
あの日の次の朝、クルスから電話があったんだ。できればお前に謝ってほしいっつってな。そんなの気にすることないですよ。 まあな。そりゃそうなんだけどよ。
Kawahara sighed, stretched and leaned up against the school gate.
癖かもな。小学生の時からあいつは委員長っつうか、いつもリーダーみたいなことやってたからな。
小学生の時からあんなだったんですか？
Both Kurisu and Kawahara went to the same public elementary school. I'd gone to a different private one.
とにかく面倒見が良くてな。みんなあいつのこと好きだったよ。特に俺とあともう一人。地震で死んじまったけど、南沢ってやつはいつもクルスと一緒にいた。3人でよくつるんでたんだよ。
へえ。
知ってるか？あいつ小学校の頃は毎年リレーの選手だったんだぜ。
I was really surprised. She didn't seem to be that bad at sports, but certainly didn't seem to like them. She couldn't do a spin on the horizontal bar. He must have found my reaction funny because Kawahara continued in a more upbeat tone.
あの地震で大怪我してな。今はそうでもないけど、しばらくは歩くのさえ大変そうにしてたんだ。
I had no idea. When I had woken up a year after the earthquake, I hadn't seen any sign of that. She'd probably gone through a lot of a hard rehab while I'd been in a coma.
その影響で運動はほとんどしなくなった。一度だけ運動部に誘ったんだが断られたよ。
そうだったんですか。
There was a moment of awkwardness. I didn't know what to do. Come to think of it, I never talked with Kawahara like this before.
文化祭盛り上げられるだけ盛り上げようぜ。あいつから任されたんだからな。
Yeah. Kawahara turned away from me and walked back into the school building.
そうか。
I realized that he'd been acting weird all day because he was waiting for a chance to apologize. Alright. This seems like a good place to save, right? Oh wait, we could look at all these. Now I'm getting excited. A Miku! Of course there's a Miku. Okay. We're gonna save this because I'm getting really tired. There we go. There it is. I found it. We'll put it right there. Yes. Alright. And then we'll pick this up next time. Let's see. Let's do that. 2? Okay, let's see if there's anyone. Four? Wait. Hi! Oh my gosh! You came just as I was ending. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm being sideways, but we're gonna let's raid. Type. Alright, And here we go.